Hello, everybody. My name's Vic Gilgis, and I'm here again to give you a podcast to help, hopefully, with your well-being. And I do it to help myself with mine. This is podcast EP60, the 60th podcast, called Rupert the Bear Wonderful Life. And I will explain why it's Rupert the Bear as we go along. And it's all about a wonderful life. So you're lucky people, and me as well. Now, this is all about how we basically can live in a soured environment, because we pick up on things and it can get us down. And when we go on to a next experience, we can experience hostility and miserableness and unhelpfulness. And after a while, if that is the environment that we're in, then we can get to be continually down, continually believe that to be the case, because that's what is surrounding us. And if we're not careful, then we can start to become like that ourselves. And in turn, having become soured, we can sour other people, join the misery club. But there's no such thing as a misery club. We're all in Rupert the Bear's nutwood enjoying ourselves, and I will talk about that later. But, and this is very important to understand, and it's simple to understand. I've mentioned the word environment. The environment that we live in, the environment that we experience, does not come from the environment. It comes from what we think about the environment. And that's an entirely different thing. We are not built as human beings to pick up directly from experiencing the universe or the environment, or our friends, or our situation at work, or our situation with our entertainment. Everything comes through our senses, what we think about it. So we don't experience the environment. We cannot do that. We're not designed to do that. And thank God we're not. Because if we were designed to experience the environment, then we would, for example, always be miserable. If the present, which it is, the present climate with all the politics going on, and the hard upness that's going on, and the strife that's going on, the wars that are going on, and as soon as you open one of these things here, there's more misery, the doom scrolling. As soon as you put on a film, within the first 5 minutes, there's 50 dead bodies, and you can get to believe that that's the situation. That is not the situation. The situation is how we basically, our environment that we live in and experience, our experience comes from our thoughts about it. Right. And the good thing is that there's something that we can do about that. We have a choice. We have a choice to stay with all that and join the misery club, or we have a choice to join Rupert and his friends in Nutwood with his chums, enjoying himself with nice weather, with lovely parents, lovely friends, which is, people are people. And you only see miserable people because they're thinking miserable. What they've got at the heart of them, like I've got the heart of me, you've got the heart of yourself, is complete innate mental health. And that is the thing, is that if we are feeling that we're in a bad environment or thinking about stuff, that is this creator, how we are created, has given us the wherewithal to be able to have this feedback system which tells us that we're looking at things wrongly, that we're thinking about things wrongly, because life doesn't have to be like that. Let's put it another way. We give meaning to life. The universe is just there. There's rocks floating around and galaxies floating around, and the moon's up there, the sun's up there, my trees are out in the garden, etc. The only meaning that is given to this is the meaning that us give to it. And if we give it a bad meaning, then if we have a bad, we'll have bad thoughts about it. And what we think about bad, if it's miserable, depressing, then we feel depressed. From thoughts come feelings. And so if we're in a good feeling, great, stick with it, you're on the right track. If you've got a bad feeling, well, that is a signal that the creator, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, its intelligence to say something's wrong here. Stop keeping thinking that way. Think this way, because when you come back to yourself, your inner self, the space within, everything's okay. It's fine, because it is fine. It's always been fine. It's only when we give bad meaning to it do we become upset. Now, often we have to think we've got to stay upset in order to get things done. We don't. If we stop this upsetness by basically giving some quiet to those thoughts, turning away from those thoughts, having not that type of relationship with those thoughts, distancing ourselves from them, then we connect directly with our inner peace, our inner space, our inner love. Now, I'm going to give you some examples. And before I do, what I will add that if we're not careful, if we live in a frustrating environment where you dog eat dog, we develop an antennae for picking up on that. Oh, crikey, they've done that, we must do that. You live by these examples, and you developed an antennae for otherness, an antennae for looking after yourself, an antennae for life's difficult, an antennae for us. Well, I said all. So that's the trouble, is that once you've developed these antennae, these are your conditioning, you think like that. You think more and more like that. In any situation, up springs your antennae. Oh, hang on a minute, I better keep myself safe here. No. When you basically distance yourself from all that type of conditioned ego type thinking, you get back to peace. And peace makes better decisions. It's got more wisdom to it. And you just got to realise that. And when you do that and when you live by that, you find yourself having more time, more energy, making better decisions, and you can trust it. Right. So somebody should have told us this. I wish when I was younger somebody had told me this. It wasn't told us, and thank God the three principles came along, and Sydney Banks said, more or less in a better way, just what I've said. We live in a thought-created reality. It's not real. You made it up. And if you want to carry on, if it's good, great, fill your boots. If it's not, then realise that you're guided by three formless things: mind, consciousness and thought. And they are not a form. They're four form. They're in your inner self, and it's full of wisdom. It's full of wanting to get by better because it understands life, because it is life. Be in life instead of thinking about life. Right. I'm going to give you some examples. When I was a young man, didn't have a car, and I worked at this factory, which was a 15-minute drive, 20-minute drive. And I used to go on a Monday morning, start every day with this guy, Eric. And when we got in the car, Eric used to say, oh, I hate my job. Oh, we're going to that horrible factory again. I hate this boss. I don't like the bloke I'm working with. My machine's always breaking down. And oh, God, when I got out of that car, like 20 minutes later, I was done. I mean, I was like miserable set for the rest of the day. This guy, it had percolated in, and my antennae, I've talked about that, were up against, oh, I better watch out for the boss. I don't like jobs because they don't like jobs. Work is a bad thing. Until I read Douglas McGregor's book, The Human Enterprise, where Theory X, Theory Y, where he said Theory X is people don't like work and they only do it because they need the money. And Theory Y was, no, well, work is fulfilling and you can enjoy your work. And I was just starting to pick up on that thing. This guy, by the way, in them days, there was when it reached Friday, the weekend starts here, and we were young people. I mean, I was like a teenager. Oh, Saturday, Sunday, time off, don't have to be at work, pushing a file at 7:30 in the morning. It was absolutely, the weekend starts here. This guy coming home on a Friday, we used to say, oh, the weekend starts here, Eric. And he used to say, oh, it'll soon be Monday. It'll soon be Monday. Well, I mean, this is what I'm saying about his environment and his mind was so bad and so depressing. He just believed his thoughts. It wasn't the work that was doing him in. It was his thoughts about the work. And I mean, I might upset a lot of people here when I say this, because he did have a breakdown, and they did give him lots of tablets, what I call happy tablets. And this is where people might get upset about this, because people do need medication to get over things. And he just become a bit of a happy robot after that. Yeah, just smiled. His false smile from his tablets. So, my first charge hand, I hated starting work at 7:30, pushing a file. And I said to the charge hand, these people that come in at 9 o'clock, the women in posh frocks, the men in suits in the offices, you know, I'd like that type of job. And his first response was, well, no, they're different. They're cleverer than us, cleverer than you. They've got qualifications and you haven't. So this is your lot. Well, you know, I mean, if you'd have believed that, you'd have stayed there for the rest of your life. I mean, there's another bit of how you think about things. And I'm not talking about being Pollyanna-ish, what's the word? You know, being kind of naive about life and all the rest of it. But it is the way in which we have a choice to interpret it or this way or that way. And what I've seen is the get out of jail free card is, and this is it, it's like a game of Monopoly. Sometimes you go in jail, sometimes you get out of jail, sometimes you're on a posh hotel, sometimes you know, so the what people forget about all that lot is that we always have the chance to move around the board or roll the dice again in life. We've got life, but sometimes people believe that they're in jail, going to be in jail permanently. It's not the case for most of us, you know, unless if you commit the crime, you do the time. Fair enough. Bad example. Anyway, so right. Then I moved on in time. So I'm moving right forward in time, and I became, well, kind of assistant or next to the director of manufacturing. And there was about 3,000. I mean, I'd been clock number 3150. There was over 3,000 people on the shop floor. And my boss, I better not mention it. Well, he's well retired now. I've been well retired. I've been left that. Anyway, and the workers in them days, and I'm going back to the 1960s, they went on strike, the workforce. So there's no production done. We made aeroplanes, jets, the Buccaneer jet. That was my aeroplane. And they were off for 17 weeks on strike. And the management weren't going to budge, or should I say, it was then British Aerospace. It had been Hawker Siddeley, not going to budge. And so basically, they wouldn't give a deal for the workers. And what happened after about 17 weeks, the union caved in, and I wasn't the union man. The union caved in, and they all came back to work with a tail between the legs. It was terrible. The atmosphere was terrible. The managers, my boss, the director, they were all kind of, I thought, smug about this, because the game on the management side, the us and them side, had been won. So I fast forward a little bit to just along 2 weeks further. So they'd started back work, and then 2 weeks had elapsed. And my boss, the director of production, said to me, Vic, he'd got some figures. They're behind schedule. And I thought, well, they've only been back, you know, for 2 weeks. You know, they've got to get used to... And he says, they're behind schedule. We've got to go out on the shop floor and kick ass. I couldn't believe it. And so no wonder the attitude on the shop floor was, we hate the management. The culture was completely wrong. It was a combative culture. It did not have to be like that. And that just shows you that the whole mindset The way of thinking was us and them, we want more production. They would have got more production overnight if they'd have been kind and understanding about the fact that these people had gone without money for 17 weeks to try and get some more money. And yet, I was laughing because I didn't get as much pay as the director, but I got a lot more than them, and the director got a lot more than everybody. And yet he was the one saying they should, get off the backsides and get working harder. What I'm saying is it's all made up. It's all, in that sense, the wrong meaning to life. Now, I'm going to get on to Rupert now, Rupert the bear. Thankfully, my parents gave me the Rupert Bear Annual every year. And when you opened it, and it was a hardback about A4 size, foolscap then, I suppose, I don't know. And there was a lovely illustration on the inside first flap as you open the book of nutwood, which was the wood that Rupert the bear and his friends, and there were humans in, the nutty professor and somebody, I don't know, but it was great. And the thing about it was, if I can remember, it was primary colours. So everything, the sky was blue and, the flowers were red and pink and yellow, the daffodils. Oh, it was beautiful. And there was hills and streams, and Rupert played with his chums. And each of his chums had a certain quality. I think the elephant... was that Porgy? No, anyway, there were different people, and they all had, one would have kindness, one would have wisdom, one would have, fierceness to fight for the right things, another one would have understanding and empathy. And so in any situation that Rupert found himself in, his friends were there to always helping him, and so it was a wonderful environment for me. And another thing was, there was a picture. Each little bit of it was a picture. And I looked at the picture, and I don't know how I did, but I intuitively knew what was going on without reading anything. When I learnt to read, I just read the first... It would say something like Rupert and his chums were having a nice time, and it helped because the weather was fine. It was as simple as that. It was beautiful. There was a load of detail, a couple of paragraphs underneath in detailed print. I never read that. I didn't need to. And this is the trouble in life, that people, they have a worry, and they don't just kind of, I've got to worry about, whatever it may be. They go into the detail of this worry. Well, he shouldn't have said that because his brother told him to say that, and he has this dog that looks at me, and they go into all the detail. In other words, instead of distancing themselves from a particular thought, they bring that on and dissect it and basically believe it all to be true. It's their thought-created reality, and all they're doing is creating more misery and crap to squelch around in. Well, there you go. So now I'm going to give you an opposite example of how things can be run right. When I left industry, when I left that particular company, I went into academia, became a lecturer. In East Yorkshire, Humberside, Hull. And I worked at the College of Commerce. And the first Monday I got there, because I'd left work on the Friday, and I'd been used to a 9 to 5. But when I got, on the Monday morning, and it was the 1st of September, actually, Monday morning, never forget it, went to the college and it was closed. Couldn't believe it. I knocked on the door and some cleaners said, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I said, "I've just started my job today." And they said, "Oh, they're not back for another fortnight. The students haven't even arrived yet." So I went home. My wife thought I was lying, thought that I really hadn't got a job, thought that I'd been given the sack and was just pretending that I had a job. Because I said, "Well, they don't come back for another 2 weeks." She looked at me and said, "Well, why did they say the 1st of September today?" I said, "Well, I don't know." So eventually I found the boss's phone number. I rang him. He didn't know who the hell I was. Excuse me. And anyway, but the crucial thing is, he said, "Look, Vic, the students don't come back for a fortnight, but you know what you're going to be lecturing in, and read up, learn. Use this time to look at how you're going to approach the students, what you're going to say to them, how you're going to develop into being a decent lecturer. Just concentrate on that. And if you want to come around for I don't know who you are, but that's how we're meeting, come for a cup of coffee and a biscuit. Me and my wife are sat in the back garden. Come and join us. Now, there's a different attitude. I'd come from a snake pit, a bloody, crocodiles biting your backside if you didn't move on. And anyway, fast forward a little bit. When a fortnight later started work, when I got there, this chap, and I'll mention his name, and he'd probably be long gone now, brilliant man called Tom Gardner. He was the head of department. And he said there was about a dozen members of staff in this department. And it was management of manufacturing, which had been my industry. And he said, I'm putting you all on a course for, I think it was about 4 days. 3 or 4 days, and there's these 2 consultants going to come in and talk to you about how to go about lecturing, and it'll give you a management game to play with the students and what have you. Well, I could not believe this. Back to the Rupert the Bear. He told me, he said, room 315, it was a college, plenty of boxes and rooms and all the rest of it. And the rest of the staff should be there. It starts at 10:30. So I went up there and I didn't know anybody, but I was like 12th on the staff. And so all these other guys were new to me. And at the side of the door, the entrance to the room, there were 2 Rupert the Bears. And what I mean by that is these 2 consultants were dressed up as Rupert the Bear, and they had a Rupert the Bear head under their arm and a Rupert the Bear that yellow scarf and the check trousers and the red pullover, I can't remember. Rupert the Bear. And we like, what's this all about? And what they were saying is, life's okay. It's what you make it. Life can be okay. It can be like nutwood. Anyway, what they did was they did what they did, and a lot of the staff were disgruntled about this because it was not a model that they'd seen, and they taught us this management game, right? Which we played with the students on the Thursday and the Friday. That was it. The course lasted Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So on the Thursday, Friday, we played this management game, right, with the students. Now, just looking at the time, what happened was, basically, we were told to. We had every lecturer had a team of students. So I had about half a dozen students, and we were told the students to go out and do a task, and they would give them points out of 10, and we were to give them bizarre tasks. So, like one of the tasks was go outside the college and get some chalk and do a drawing, or what best you can on the pavement, and I'll come and inspect it and give you marks out of 10. By the way, there was just a police station across the way, and obviously what happened was the police come and asked what was happening because people were stopping and looking what these students were doing, and they reported back to me and said, like, well, the policeman has told us to stop. So I said, well, did you get anything drawn? Or we tried to draw a cat. Well, I'll come and have a look at the cat, and my job was to make it all horrible for the students. And I went there and I said, that's a terrible drawing of a cat, and there's hardly any colours. And they said, yeah, but it got smudged. The policeman tried to wipe it off and all the rest, and we got told off and all the rest. We didn't have much time. And I then told them all off and said, well, have you appointed a leader, a person in charge of you? So this guy, I'll be in charge, you see. So what we did continually after that, give them all other exercises and mark them down. And of course, all the students were getting like frustrated about it. And then on one occasion, we said to the leader, look, we're sorry, we're sacking you as leader. Can you go back to the class, tell me you've been sacked, and to pick somebody else who is managed better? And so he went, listen, let me finish this. So we discouraged this guy, slagged him off. He went back to the students and they elected another leader who came in twice as keen. I'll shut this down now. What I'm saying is at the end of the game, the exercise, which lasted, well, over a day, the all day Thursday, we had a wash up on Friday lunchtime, and we basically told them that they'd all behaved like Nazis, most of them. They would kill their granny to get some higher points. They were ruthless with each other. And what's saying, look, this is how you can get when you follow the leader, when you become so us and them, when you become combative, when you become angry with each other because you've fallen for the trick. You're in the matrix of miserableness and this is the first thing that Sydney Banks said. I don't think he used the word matrix, but Sydney Banks said, you live in a thought-created reality. You're in the matrix. Get out of the matrix, because the out of the matrix is mind, consciousness and thought, which is before form. You're in the matrix form and you believe in the game. And if it's a miserable game, you're not enjoying yourself. But in this game, it's us and them. You get people, dog eat dog, stop it. This is what had happened, and that was a brilliant lesson, because we'd seen just how we could influence the students and how the students could influence themselves when we created the wrong environment. But what we pointed out to them without knowing the principles was, look, the environment is what you make of it. It's what you think about it. And if you're thinking the environment is dog eat dog, why are you behaving like that? Because that is not the truth. And what we give meaning to life is not the truth. It's what we give meaning to. So if it's a bad meaning, a miserable meaning, a hateful meaning, a downward spiral meaning, etc., etc., it's because we've given it that meaning. Because life is not like that. Life is life. And when Sydney Banks says, come inside, come to the space within, because that is creative, it is life, and it wants to expand. So I think I've said about everything there. We create our own environment. The environment we live in is our thoughts, and we can, and as I've said, we are a container full of love, and basically our innateness is good mental health. We are born that way. We're like children. We want to play. We want to enjoy life. And I know when we mature and get into this us and them world, this combative world, then when we get like that, it sours us. And we think that we've got to up the ante on our thoughts, because if we don't get what we want, they'll take it from us. This combative, I've got to look after myself. I suppose selfish, like our ego is selfish. It worries about what people think about us. And I tell you what, worrying about what people think about you, remember, they're only just like you. They come from the three principles of mind, consciousness and thought. So if they're thinking bad thoughts about you or anybody or anything, it's because they've got a problem, not you. And they're the only ones that can solve that problem. And you're the only one that can solve your problem. Nobody can solve it for you. I mean, people like myself and practitioners and what have you can give you the understanding, the principles understanding, but it is yourself that has got to kind of get the osmosis and use your antennae now in the right way to pick up on goodness and be good and help and be kind and be loving, because that life does not exist properly without that. And this is why we've got so many wars all over the place, badness all over the place, politics all over the place, bosses manage. In other words, what I'm going back to the example when I was working for the director, the culture was wrong. And if you would have changed that, and a culture can be changed quite quickly, the productivity would have just gone up. I mean, I won't go on about that. I think I've said enough on all this, that when we go back to our inner space, back to our oneness, that is where we get the advice. That is where we get the wisdom to be able to solve life problems. In other words, as I said the other week, we've got it. A lot of people have got it backwards, where they say they've got to have X, Y, and Z in place before they can be happy. No, when you go back to what you've really got, which is your innate happiness, then you're clearer thinking to make better decisions that bring you happiness in life. So happiness inside begets more happiness. Trying to look outside doesn't do it, because outside you can never manage. Because besides being happy outside, there is misery outside. That's outside. And so if we see illness outside, then if we are like physician heal thyself, if we're in a better position, we can help them. In other words, when you're in your well-being, you're in the lifeboat of life, and there are other people floundering around in the sea, and you can help one or two of them because you are helped yourself, because you are in an okay place. And that's wonderful, because you're in an okay place because you know you're okay. You know you've got that gift of mind, consciousness and thoughts. The inside is okay, and it's inside out. So I'll finish there and get on with some breathing exercises and relaxation exercises. So it's turned out nice again, I think, hasn't it? I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope everything's fine there. So let's have some breathing. Let's do the four box breathing. So just settle in your chair, just relax. And so breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. So just breathing normally now. Just continue a little bit with the breathing. So just breathe in, 1, 2, breathe out, 2, 3, 4. This is a different type of breathing. Breathe in, 1, 2, breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 1, 2, breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 1, 2, breathe out, 2, 3, 4. So just breathing normally now. Let's have some relaxation. Now this is a chance to thank your body. Just go and scan your body and thank your body for being so wonderful. Just doing all these things without you even noticing it to keep you alive. That's life. You don't have to tell your heart how to beat. You don't have to tell your mind how to think. And that's your other choice. Yes, that's nice. So just relaxing at the top of the head, soft scalp, right down the temples, relaxed temples, down to easy muscles on the cheeks of your mouth and soft, easy jaws. Relaxing, soft neck. Oh, easy on the shoulders, down to the shoulders. Upper arms, so relaxed. Relaxed chest. Easy down to your tummy. Just easy little muscles there, relaxed. Down to your relaxed hips. So comfortable, that's right. Your bottom relaxed on the chair and soft, the chair supporting you as we go down through the body, down through your thighs, the thigh muscles relaxing, down easy on the knees, down to your calves, so easy to relax there, soft and relaxed, that's right, as we're just relaxing down through your ankles, lovely. Just relaxing your feet right down to the very tips of your toes. That's all lovely and relaxed. That's nice. So, as I've said, it's turned out nice again. I hope you see that it's not the environment that upsets us. Yes, it's a fact that the environment can be bad. That happens. But it's our thinking about it. It's the way we react to our thoughts. That's the real environment we live in, our thoughts. What our mind tells us. And our mind tries its best to look after us. So it says, I don't like this, so we've got to do that. But in actual fact, psychologically, the mind doesn't know bugger all. It's not got the wisdom. It's got what you've been told to do. So going back to my factory example, the mind would say, this isn't right. So they're wrong, they're to blame, they're the victims, we'll make them victims, because if they don't pull the finger out, we're going to get onto them. So it was us and them. This is what your mind does. Your ego says, I'm not getting what I want out of life, and they're bad, and they're this, and they're that. And so it goes on this combative, kind of annoying, stressful goose chase, where you're putting your energies into making things the way your mind wants them to be made. And the fact is, it never works, because I've done this. I've got promotion. Oh, my life's wonderful. I've got more money, only to end up that they change the goalposts. So that job becomes, instead of being a good job, it becomes a shit job. Excuse me. You cannot win in that situation. Life always changes, and even if it doesn't change, you change. What you wanted then is not what you want now, and so, because that's life. When you're with life all the time, realise you're in constant change, but you can adapt to it. You're adaptable. You are more responsive to life, instead of being out of life. Analyse it and thinking about it. Analysis paralysis. This is what a lot of people do. They go into some situation, analyse it to death, come out with some conclusion from a thing here which doesn't know really how to solve it. It hasn't got a clue. You solve things by going quite to all the thinking about them things, coming back into yourself, having had a cup of tea, having had a nap, having had a walk in the park, having had a shower. That, when that is settled, you get to know what to do because the life's wisdom informs you. It always will do. And when you get used to trusting that, because you've seen examples of it working in your life, when all of a sudden you thought, yeah, I think I know what to do here. Because life, you are life, and life is on the inside, and the space within, and I don't know whether it's your heart, your lungs, or what have you, but it's certainly not this small mind here, which basically is a computer. It rubbish in, rubbish out, and it only works off what it knows, and what somebody else knows is entirely different. So everybody lives in their reality, and if it's a bad reality, they're going to make bad decisions. When you make decisions from that low state of consciousness, a low level of consciousness, things don't work. When you're in a better level of consciousness, you can see much more about life, because you've got a shift in consciousness, and that can come at any time. All of a sudden, you just, I never thought of that. Why has that popped into my head? Because there are two types of thinking. There are personal thinking, and there is the thinking that comes from within, and which is impersonal. It knows what life needs. And basically, you might have I want this. The universe wants something different, but it is always best for you. In other words, it's a bit like fate. It's got to work out this way, so go with it. And when you go with that flow, it is life's flow, you find things coming towards you which will help you. Now, I'll do another podcast on synchronicities, Carl Jung stuff. And what I'm saying is that it's more than coincidence that all of a sudden the jigsaw starts to come together in your life, that the right things come in front of you, the right people come in front of you, the right books come in front of you. It's wonderful. It just is like clockwork in a way. And there is no time to this. So if you think I want it tomorrow, no, life doesn't work like that. It might bring you a week tomorrow. It might bring you tomorrow, but it might bring it a year from tomorrow. What I'm saying is, if you've got kind of infinite patience, you get immediate results because it does come. And you haven't got that angst of when will it come, how will it look like when it comes. No, when you go with the flow of life, you're already okay. You're enjoying life because you're not in all this detail and analyse it and kind of meandering around in your thoughts about it. No, you're clear-minded. You're okay. You know what life's about. And sometimes at my age, I'm 81, you're just pleased when you wake up in the morning that you're above the daisies and you're grateful. And that's another thing, is that with this inside out wisdom, and I'm not saying I've got wisdom, because as a human, like us all, I'm as daft as hell. We're all as daft as hell. But the point is, this understanding shows you that there is an intelligence that can really help you. This intelligence is not always helping you because it's greedy. It's fearful. It's coming from lack. And you can't win a game that way. No. You might win by force, but that's not winning by love. And basically, you got nobody on your side when you do it that way. When you do it love's way, you find people want to help. People will basically, take the shirt off their back to help you. And I know workforces, when I was in industry, that when you treat people properly, they would double their production. Whereas with all the technology that we had and all the fierce management that they had and on you all the time, you might have got 3% with hatred. There you are, So I hope that's helped. Sorry, I've gone on a bit. I hope to see you again, and thank you for watching and listening. Thank you very much.